I'm good.
The NHL trade deadline has come and passed. We have everything you need to know about the winners and losers. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Pucked Up Podcast. It is me, not Mario, aka Chris, joined by D and Maul this week. Yeah,
On Mario Day.
On Mario Day, believe it
on
or
Mario
not.
Day. Yay!
Is that actually a thing?
Yes, it's an international holiday. It is widely celebrated, specifically in Japan, because obviously that's where Mario and Nintendo are from. But yeah, March 10th is Mario Day.
Well, happy Mario Day to all you Nintendo lovers out there. I was actually not aware of this.
Yeah.
Had no idea. Because March is M-A-R, and then the 10 is the I-O, so it's Mario Day.
Okay. That's brilliant.
That's clever,
in fact, that is brilliant. In fact, well, I will say we will start off with our trivia question. And this week, I have a true or false.
Ooh.
True or false? There has not been a sweep in the Stanley Cup Finals since 1998.
Okay.
I'll let you guys think on that one. But while you're thinking of that, D, we have some PWHL news to talk about.
We do indeed. So it is women's hockey, a little bit less PWHL, but the top 10 finalists for the Patty Kazmaier Memorial Award have been announced. This honor was first presented in 1998, speaking of our trivia question, and is awarded annually to the top player in the NCAA Division I women's ice hockey by the USA Hockey Foundation. So the players are as follows. We have Tia Chan. She's a goaltender at the University of Connecticut. Joy Dunn, a forward for Ohio State University. Lacey Eden, a forward for the University of Wisconsin. Caroline Harvey, defensive player for University of Wisconsin. Tessa Janicki, a forward for Penn State University. Kaylin LaMarche, a forward for Quinnipiac University. Abby Murphy, a forward for University of Minnesota. Kirsten Sims, a forward for the University of Wisconsin. Izzy Wonder, a forward for Princeton University, and who I think will likely take the award, and I think everyone else can probably agree, Layla Edwards, who both plays defensive and forward for the University of Wisconsin.
Put some respect on her name, below. Olympic gold medalist Layla Edwards.
Layla Edwards, yeah. I think we can tell where that one's going. The selection process did start in early February, so conveniently right in line with the Olympics, of which only one of those players made the team. And Division I women's hockey coaches were asked to nominate players for the award. Players who were nominated by multiple coaches were then placed on an official ballot, which was returned to the coaches to vote for the 10 finalists. The 3 finalists, including the recipient of the 2026 Patty Kaz Memorial Award, will be chosen by a 13-person selection committee made up of NCAA Division I hockey's coaches. So this will all happen Saturday at the NCAA Women's Frozen Four. It will be broadcast live on the NHL Network from Hub Robeson Center on the campus of Penn State University. I believe all guests need to be seated by 12:20 p.m. and the live 30-minute show will begin promptly at 12:30. So you'll be able to watch it online as they award the 29th winner of the Patty Kazmaier Memorial Award. So be sure to, I guess, shout out to the NHL for actually broadcasting some women's sports for once. Love to see that. This is kind of a big award, so please, please, please tune in. It's what helps us get more women's sports on feeds everywhere. For those of you who don't know, Patty Kazmaier is she was a 4-year varsity letter winner, all Ivy League defenseman at Princeton in 1981 to 86. She was an accomplished athlete who helped lead the Tigers to the Ivy League championship in 3 consecutive seasons. She unfortunately died on February 15th of 1990 at the age of 28, following a long struggle with a rare blood disease. So she was someone who was destined for greatness and unfortunately got cut short due to incurable diseases, which really, really sucks. And so be sure that if you ever have an opportunity to donate to anything like cancer research or any of these rare epigenetic disorders, Please do. The only way we can make sure that people like Patty can be here with us longer is if we stop all of this shit from happening in the first place.
Oh, 100%. And I mean that, all those sort of diseases and stuff hits home for Maul for sure.
Hmm.
Obviously with Alex, so
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
know,
So, get out there, be advocates for them, support them, do the walks, do things, talk about it because that's the biggest thing that you can do
Yes.
with any of these things, especially some of these diseases that aren't as well known or as popular, unfortunately, as others. Talk about them because that
Mhm.
helps a lot get it into the perspective of, unfortunately, we live in a society where if it's front news it gets the attention and the
mhm,
attention gets research and money and so get out there and support.
for sure.
Yes.
And Layla, I love you. Everything you've done, but there are two girls from two different Connecticut universities
I
that my
know.
heart kind of goes towards a little more. I have friends that have graduated from both Quinnipiac and UConn, and you guys obviously know my affiliation with UConn. So, again, looking at the stats of all of these ladies, holy shit!
Hmm.
Every one of them rightfully should be on this list.
Yeah.
So good luck to everyone. For sure. Good luck to everyone. And I will be very interested to see who wins that. Also, I'll be very interested to see out of these ladies who gets drafted in the top 10 come PWHL time.
Yeah.
Because like I had said on the post Olympics one or episode, Layla Edwards' draft stock skyrocketed because she played with pro athletes in the Olympics.
Hmm.
So
Right. Tremendous. And she was the only girl on the US and Canadian team
who was in college,
that was in college that
the
wasn't
Yeah.
only
already in PWHL.
non-professional athlete, and
Yep.
she had points.
Hmm.
She scored
She
goals
showed
and
up.
assisted. She was there. She was a part of it. She was a
She quite
pivotal
literally did
part
her
in the
job.
U.S. tying the game.
Yep.
Now,
So
I have a question about that. Just a quick side note. Do you feel that because she got the opportunity to play against these women in the Olympics, that when she gets drafted, she's not going to be as nervous to play against them and have to get her bearings because she already has that experience in multiple games?
I
I
think
would
that
think
to an
so.
extent, yeah, it definitely has eased that tension. She's already played on the world's biggest stage that there is.
Right.
But nerves are a thing of wonder, and you can go on 100 times and still get nervous. So I
Yeah.
True.
think I wouldn't be surprised if she has nerves about like what it's like to play that many nights. Like the Olympics are over in a matter of like a week, you know what I mean, for them. Whereas this, they're playing a much longer season than that. So there might be nerves around that, about staying healthy, about maintaining for that length of time.
Yeah.
But I think that it definitely eases any sort of tension of like, is it really all that much to be scared by? And I think the
Right.
answer for her is very evidently no.
Exactly.
Yeah. Again, when the lights were the brightest, Layla showed up. So I mean,
Yep.
how scared could she really be? Also,
Mhm.
I didn't realize how fucking tall she was until you see her in the Olympics. My
Dude, right?
God,
Like,
she's so tall.
Mhm.
it's
Oh, if
wild.
if basketball was a summer sport, Layla, they'd be calling you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, moving on to the shit that all y'all probably want to hear our takes on. The 25-26 NHL trade deadline has come and passed. I don't know about you guys, but I spent the entire day at work with TSN Sportscast in my ear. I was catching everything live up to date. I believe I even posted it to you guys because I didn't know if you guys had seen it.
Mhm.
Um, I'm going to be honest, it was surprisingly quiet.
Yeah, I think we all thought that we were going to see shit pop off. But in my neck of
Oh,
the
it
woods,
did.
things
It did.
absolutely popped
But
off.
yeah,
But not in the way
but
that we were expecting. I was expecting to see maybe some more rumors about some bigger names, like your Austin Matthews types. Not that I think he was really going to give up on the Leafs just yet, but I think I was expecting to see some of that, or at least there be conversation around. We tried and it didn't happen. There
right.
was a lot fewer of those conversations than I expected.
Correct. Yeah,
But I feel like
I was
last
expecting some
year,
names.
sorry, I feel like last year, like we got those names. You know what I mean? Like we got
Yeah.
the infamous Brad Marchand trade,
Yeah,
which
Mhm.
was wild and crazy and still shocks some people to this day.
yeah.
And like you said, this year we got like a couple, but not anything that big, you know?
But at the
Yeah.
deadline last year, don't forget, everything happened like the week before. And then while
Yeah.
we had trades during the deadline, Marchand was the only big name, and that came after 3 o'clock. So it
Right.
was
Right.
obviously in the pipeline, but that was the only like
But didn't
real
process.
big trade. Like there were maybe one or two big ones where after the buzzer, there were a few pretty big names that got moved. But it was a bit dead, but we got some prior.
Mhm.
I have listed out some of the important trades. Like there were a lot, but these were the important ones, including the Utah Mammoth acquiring defenseman Mackenzie Weegar from the Calgary Flames for defenseman Oli Mata and forward Jonathan Castana, and and 3 second-round picks in 2026. Dude,
What a fucking trade.
Utah is all the fuck in. Again,
Yeah.
they're on the playoff fringe. They're fighting for a wild card. Calgary
Mhm.
ain't doing shit. And we'll talk in a
Yeah.
couple minutes about another big trade for Calgary. But what a fucking haul for picks. Uyghur's having a
Yeah.
great season. This was a good move. A move I question. Vegas Golden Knights acquire forward Nick Dowd from the Washington Capitals for goalie Jesper Vikman, a third-round pick in 2027 and a second-round pick in 2029. Obviously, this is very clear as day. The Caps aren't making the playoffs this year,
Hey,
but
there's
I
no
was
chance.
shocked that they. Okay, yes, but I was shocked
There
that they
is.
moved on from Dowd.
I was shocked too, and the whole fan base was shocked. Everybody loves Dowder. He is important on the ice, but he's also such a good locker room guy. The Caps are pretty big on leadership in the locker room, and our fans do tend to hold our players a little bit more responsible for things. Um, so for us to walk away from him, we're all stunned by, especially for another fucking goalie. Like that seemed, if you're going to trade for anyone from Vegas, why is it a goalie? We have two phenomenal goalies in net already, and we have
Yeah,
several in the pipeline down in Hershey. So
yeah,
why are we fighting for yet another goalie when I think that there's parts that we needed to pick up? Um, Potentially defensively, I think we could have used some strengthening,
yeah.
especially when we talk about who we lost later. Anyway,
Hmm, hmm,
so
hmm.
I think that I was shocked to see what he got. I'm not surprised that he got 2 picks and a player, right? Because I think Dowd is worth every penny of that. I'm
Yeah,
just surprised that we picked the worst ones possible. Like,
yeah.
why a fucking goalie? Yeah, it was surprising, but I think the idea was even though he's still playing well, they are trying to get a younger and younger core, especially ahead of the anticipated departure of Alex Ovechkin. Maybe not this year, but possibly next. And
Yeah.
so I think that that was their reason for it. But it insane to me that we're not getting players on the ice where we need them
Well,
right now.
moving from one member of our crew's team to another, the Colorado Avalanche.
Don't die.
I'm all spit. This one's so intense, I'm choking. The Colorado Avalanche acquire forward Nicholas Waugh from the Toronto Maple Leafs for a conditional first round pick in 2027 and a conditional fifth round pick in 2026. I am not quite sure as to what the full conditions are for that trade, but we're not done with Colorado, nor
No.
are we done with Toronto in this situation. I think this is a good return for Wah. If you're Toronto, you can't be mad about getting a first rounder for a guy that is that talented, and let's just continuously make Colorado better, I guess.
Well,
Yeah.
and I mean, we need talent next year at the draft or this year at the draft. We need, I mean, I know that's not first round for this year, but we need to pick up some players
Yeah.
because this is going to be the first year in 10 years
You
that the
guys don't
Leafs
even
are
make the
not making the
playoffs.
playoffs,
Yeah.
which is a wild statistic in itself to go to the playoffs 9 years in a row and not make it past the second round.
But I
Well,
think, Maul, at
yeah.
some point we do have to have the conversation of Why the fuck, if you guys have so much talent, do you consistently need to get new talent off the market?
Not only that,
Like,
but why
you
is this
guys
team
do
so
have
good?
people.
Why is this team so good that you guys can't make it out of the first round? That's the bigger question.
And I will not be surprised if after the Leafs lose tonight at time of recording, because they're already down 2 goals in the first period,
Do we see another coaching fire?
Berube's gonna get fired. I
Berube's
mean, they
gone.
literally already fired the assistant coach.
Yeah.
This year, they're going to fire him soon. He's
Well-
going, even though he's a Leafs legend, he's going to get canned.
All right. Well, the Kings also fired their coach too. So, like, you
Right.
know,
And I mean,
a team
they're
that
on a
is
7-game losing streak right now.
well, flipping the coin from for you guys not making the playoffs to a team that's 100% going to make the playoffs for the first time since 2011. The Buffalo Sabres acquired defenseman Logan Stanley and Luke Shen from the Winnipeg Jets for forward Isaac Rosen, Jacob Bryson, a second-round pick in 2027, and a conditional pick in a conditional fourth rounder in 2026. The Buffalo Sabres are loading the fuck up. And obviously, we had the false Colton Parayko trade that we all thought Parayko was going to be moved from St. Louis to Buffalo. That obviously he decided against waiving his no trade clause, which is his right. That is his right.
Fair. Yeah.
As a player under contract, he has that ability to waive that. I know his wife is about to give birth. I get it.
Stability is
your
important.
team, the team you play for is ass, but I understand. Another big trade. This one broke, and D also broke, but the Anaheim Ducks acquired defenseman John Carlson from the Washington Capitals for a conditional first-round pick in 2026 and a third-round pick in 2027. Now, the conditions on the picks is if Anaheim makes the playoffs in this season, they will give their 2026 pick. If they do not make the playoffs, they will give a 2027 first-round pick. I broke this as it happened at 1:30 in the morning, and I was not aware you were still awake. And I feel like I ruined your night.
You did. 100% you did. Well, I mean, you didn't. Fucking our GM did. Well, I feel like y'all got off fucking easy for a conditional first round or a possible third round in 2027, depending on how it plays out for you guys playoff-wise.
The third round is non-conditional. You will, in fact, get the third round in 27. The only condition is the first, but you're getting a first either way.
Yeah. So I feel like John is worth more. To me personally, I feel like John was worth more than 2 picks because he has been such a staple in our team for 17 seasons. He has only ever been a Cap. He is the leader, all-time leader for us, defensive points wise, I believe. He is also an incredible locker room guy, much like Dowder. Carlson is really someone that like everybody in the locker room has always had nothing but nice things to say about and talk about, like how much he really helps support the entire crew. So I think he was worth a little bit more, if I'm being honest. However, I was not asked prior to this trade, so I didn't get a say.
Yeah.
This is a really, really tough one for us fans. Losing another cornerstone, especially we heard from Alex Ovechkin after this trade happened at the next skate that morning, and he was like, "This is probably the worst professional day of my life," which I was like, "That's really sad," and also true.
Tom Wilson was in tears talking about Carlson being traded. Legitimate tears. He was legit crying during his interview.
Yeah, this is something that's really tough for the team. I think you guys are going to do so well with him. I think he is going to be really, really good for your team as a whole. Again, when you're talking about someone who brings a lot of leadership to a locker room, he's it. And I think he can transform some stuff for you guys and inspire players to be better, which you kind of need a little bit of, if I'm honest.
Well, I was going to say on the flip side of this, what this does is this helps one of the biggest issues in Anaheim's play, which is defense. What this is going to do, he's obviously a veteran guy. He's 36, but what he's putting out points-wise, he's he's both a great offensive defenseman and a good defensive defenseman. Like, he is a great two-way D guy. What
Yeah.
this is going to allow him to do is this is going to allow the Ducks to free up that top line of defense with Olin Zellweger and Jackson Lacombe. In my opinion, you move Zellweger down, you put Carlson with Lacombe, make that your top line. He's going to help build those young guys up. This is only a benefit for the Ducks. And right now, we don't need that first round pick. The Ducks have a lot of young talent. They're okay. I think this is a fantastic move. Another fantastic move is the Buffalo Sabres were very active. They acquired forward Sam Carrick from the New York Rangers for a 3rd round pick and a 6th round pick in 2026. Again, Sam Carrick, former Duck, really solid forward. I think, again, for a team that's right now leading the Atlantic Division, this is a spectacular move for them. You keep adding to that offense. You keep helping your goaltending and your defense, which obviously their defense and goaltending has looked good the past few months. I'm a fan of this move, just like I think we're all a fan of this next move. But the Minnesota Wild acquire forward Nick Foligno from the Chicago Blackhawks for future considerations. Genuinely, what this trade is was their longtime captain, well, not really long time, but their captain, Nick Foligno, asked to go play with his brother, and the GM of the Chicago Blackhawks is taking whatever for this. This is a great thing.
The Blackhawks have given up and rolled over, as far as I can tell, because there's a few trades that happened with them over the course of this year that I'm like, and we did that for why? This is one of them. Like,
Look at the Connor Murphy trade earlier last week.
I do respect, though, that it's like Nick wanted to go play with his brother, and they were like, all right, yeah, we'll let you. Like that, I respect that a lot. What I love even more than that is the way that it was announced by Nick calling his brother. That whole storyline, super cute. And then he was like, I realized I probably shouldn't have done that because the news hadn't broke yet. And so my family can't keep their damn mouth shut.
So for you guys that don't know, Nick called his brother Marcus, and before the news was announced, Marcus broke it in their family group chat. And on the TSN broadcast, he called it. He goes, I'm probably going to get in a lot of trouble with my wife because I told my brother before I told her. And I was like, bro, your wife's going to be pissed at you. But
hey, honey, we're moving.
But apart from the good story that this is, I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is going to actually benefit Minnesota right now. Because you're getting 100%. A good locker room guy, because obviously he was the captain for the last few seasons of the Chicago Blackhawks, which we could talk about the next captain in a few moments and whether or not we think that that's a good move. But he's a great role guy. He can play whatever you need him to play. He's going to fit. He's going to be a great depth addition to that team. And with where they're at right now and how difficult the top 3 is, one of those top 3 in the Central aren't going to get past the first round. So
now, my question for you all is, do we think that the Wild now even more so go all in on the brother trades and we get to see another Hughes brother in Wild territory within the next season? Because there were rumors that they tried to get one of the Hughes brothers from New Jersey and couldn't quite get the deal done. Do we think that they doubled down on efforts?
I think at this point, if Jack is an option, because let's be honest, the Devils are terrible. And can you see Jack in that top 6?
Yeah.
Like, if there is an option and they can willingly give up, because they gave up a lot for Quinn. But if you can find a way to give up enough for in New Jersey to be interested, I don't think Luke's ready yet.
No.
Obviously, the kid's having a rough season, and that happens to everybody. But how much do you want to bet that the only reason Jack is still willing to stay in New Jersey is because Luke is there? You know?
Dude, they could literally have a whole line of just brothers.
Of just Hughes brothers, yeah. Just go get Jack and go get Luke, and you can have... Because, I mean, again, obviously, Quinn's a defenseman, but still, your top line, you could have your top line with 3 Hughes brothers.
Freaking crazy.
Add a couple
Another,
Felinos in there, you're good to go.
yeah, dude. What it's gonna the fucking Brady Bunch of the NHL.
100%.
Right?
Do it. I dare you.
Another team that made an interesting move, and I liked this move for them, but the Tampa Bay Lightning have acquired forward Corey Perry from the LA Kings for a second round pick in 2028. I'm going to be honest, as a Ducks fan, I much prefer a former Duck to not play in a SoCal team that is in Anaheim. So I'm happy that he's with the Lightning. But again, great veteran depth presence. He's on a bit
Did
of
he
a
get traded
Stanley
last
Cup
year too?
Yeah.
No,
He-
no, he signed
last
in the
year?
off season with LA.
Okay. I was
Yeah.
I was trying to remember if he got traded or if he signed.
But he's been traded and has signed for a couple of different teams since we've started this podcast.
He's making his way
He's
around the
bounced around.
NHL right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, he's going back to a team he already played for.
Mhm.
Obviously, I think they're in a bit of a different situation than the last time he was there. But again, personally, glad to see him out of LA. I'm
Mhm.
okay with that. Trades that broke after the deadline was over. In the pipelines, the Detroit Red Wings have acquired defenseman Justin Falk from the St. Louis Blues for a first round and a third round pick in 2026. Defenseman Justin Holl and unsigned forward prospect Dmitry Buchnikov. I think that's Buchelnikov. Yeah. This is a huge move for Detroit. Obviously, it sucks right now because Justin Falk's hurt. But this is going to help that defense tremendously. Again, another great top line pairing that you move Falk into that first defensive line with Moritz Seider. You let Seider learn, because Seider's still young. You let him learn from Justin Falk, who's clearly established as a great, in my opinion, a top 10 defenseman. Obviously, they'd prefer him healthy. But this is a win-win for Detroit and St. Louis. The Washington Capitals acquired defenseman Timothy Liljegren from the San Jose Sharks for a fourth rounder in 2026. I like Liljegren, so nice to see him out of another team I despise.
And he's good buddies and has played with Rasmus Sandin as well. So those two reuniting might actually be really good chemistry-wise for the team as well. I think it's a good signing for
sure.
us.
A bigger move that I was actually really happy to see, but the New York Islanders have acquired forward Braden Shen from the St. Louis Blues for a first round pick and a third round pick in 2026. Forward Jonathan Drouin and goalie Marcus Gidloff. Let's be honest, I don't think anyone's not aware of the awful season Jonathan Drouin has had. Maybe a change of scenery, and again, another captain being traded. Obviously, Braden's not getting any younger. And I think the prospect of playing in New York with the Islanders looks a lot better than what's going to happen in the pipeline for St. Louis. I'm going to skip this because this is the biggest trade that we will talk about after. But the Calgary Flames acquired forward Ryan Strome from the Anaheim Ducks for a 7th round pick in 2027. Stromer, I love you, but Ryan Strome was having such a bad season that the Ducks were just willing to take anything. He obviously was injured for most of the season, lost his spot, has not played, and they were just trying. It wasn't working.
Unfortunate.
It is. I liked Ryan. Ryan's a great player. The Seattle Kraken acquire forward Bobby McMahon from the Toronto Maple Leafs for a 4th round pick in 26 and a conditional 2nd rounder in 2027. Also to lump in, the LA Kings have acquired the forward Scott Lawton, also from the Toronto Maple Leafs, for a conditional 3rd round pick in 2026. I feel like these moves came very late, and Brad Treleving needs to really fucking reevaluate all the other pieces he could have moved. If any thoughts, Maple Leafs fan?
I think it's not going to be enough to do anything. I'm scared that Toronto is going to jump on the bandwagon and call next season a rebuild.
A rebuild, yeah.
Um, very terrified of that term because it's going to happen. It's going to come around. And once they
It's
hit
been a while since you
rebuild,
guys have had to rebuild, to be
Mhm.
fair.
right. But the scary thing is when you hit rebuild, the good players that you have on the team disappear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
You know,
Correct.
I mean, and there are players on the Leafs that I really would like to stay on the Leafs,
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
you know.
Welcome to my
So,
life.
but at the end of the day, you gotta make something happen. It needs to be a cut.
Mhm.
You
Well,
gotta do something, you know?
speaking of
So
making things happen, the easily the biggest trade of the deadline,
Mm.
the blockbuster, the Colorado Avalanche have acquired forward Nazem Kadri and a fourth round pick in 2027 from the Calgary Flames for a conditional first round pick in 2028, a conditional second round pick in 2027, forward Victor Olofsson, and unsigned forward prospect Maximilian Coran. Um,
that's wild.
That's a
I
lot.
had I had questions about this one. My immediate question was Kadri's contract and the cap space of
Mhm.
the Colorado Avalanche didn't make sense, but it was announced that Calgary is retaining 20% of the cap or of his contract, so that puts them in the area.
Gotcha.
Obviously, as we all know, this is a reuniting of Nazem Kadri and the Colorado Avalanche. He obviously was with the team when they won the Stanley Cup a few years ago, was a very pivotal part of that team winning the Stanley Cup. Um, this is a massive trade for not only Colorado, but this is a huge trade for Calgary. Obviously,
Mhm.
Calgary is in the bottom five of the league. In my opinion, they had to offload as many players as they could. I'm shocked they kept Dustin Wolf. But I mean, you trade Uyghur, you trade Kadri, you offload your big guys that obviously you're going to have to
Mhm.
pay eventually. And Kadri's got a couple years left on his deal. So this wasn't a quick, let's get something for a guy that's not going to resign
Right.
here. This is, we've got a talent who's just wasting here.
Mhm.
Why not send him to a place that obviously has a shot? There were a lot of teams in on the Kadri deal, but the problem was Colorado was the only one willing to give up as much as they did.
Yeah.
And I get it. I get it. Um, I have
But
questions for
I also feel that Colorado's in a place where they could afford to do that, you know?
Oh, right, right. And you're just only helping that team get better. Question
Yeah.
for you guys. I will start with who do you think is the biggest winners of the deadline? Which teams do you think did the best?
I think the Sabres did really well considering their organization as a whole. I think that they did pretty well. I think also fucking Colorado, man. They have come up with some incredible pieces somehow. So those would be my top two.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
I think
Colorado,
for
the
me,
Sabres also ended up with Tanner Pearson from
Hmm.
Winnipeg for a seventh rounder of 26. So I mean, again, depth guys that they got. You know.
Yeah.
I think for me, I'm going to say the Minnesota Wild because they are killing it this year, and I think they're guaranteeing that they're going to continue to kill it into next season. And I want to say Calgary Flames because they're bottom right now and they're making plays. You know, they
Yeah,
understand that they need to do stuff and they're willing to give up a lot to make something happen, and I think that that's important to do. And I think other teams who are down in the bottom 10 need to understand that you're down there for a reason. You need to shit or get off the pot. And I think
oh,
that Calgary
100%.
realized that we need to make something happen. We got to give a little to get a little. And I think that they stepped up.
Yeah, and I mean there are other trades that they made for just like little pieces here and there. Calgary's another one. I think they had uh a phenomenal deadline. I agree with D on Buffalo and Colorado, but I don't want to sleep on these moves that the Detroit Red Wings made. I
Yeah.
mean,
Mm.
I for a team that really could use extra defensive help, like getting Justin Falk, granted he's hurt, that's only going to help your team.
Right.
In a league where defense clearly is a big part of everything, that's a huge move. But again, look at the Avalanche. You're gonna sit here and tell me, hold on, we're already the best team in the NHL. We're gonna add just studs. Like I just again, you're adding Nicholas Waugh, who is a great talent in himself, and then we're just gonna bring Nazem Kadri back.
Yeah.
Those are great moves. Who do you guys think is the biggest losers? Who are you the most disappointed in? And it's okay to say your own teams.
Yeah, I mean, I'm personally disappointed in the Washington Capitals. I understand why they did it. I think I told Chris, especially after the Carlson trade, that I just wish that we had been trading for active players and not future picks, because I think we need the help now on the ice and less so in the future. I think that there's plenty of time for that. We have a lot of really young prospects that are going to do really well. What we need help with is the here and now. So I wish that we would have traded for more seasoned players. But that's neither here nor there. I also think that to an extent, I am shocked by not seeing much out of Edmonton. We saw a trade or two come in through them, but there wasn't anything that was like, what are you really doing to solve your problem? I feel that they have very much the same problem that your team has, Maul, where it's like you have fucking Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid, and yet you all suck this fucking much somehow still.
Right.
What are you doing about that?
They did get Connor Murphy last week from Chicago, which is a good pickup for them. But I can agree, it feels like that team has a lot of other issues, and they didn't do as much as I thought they were going to do. And especially with them being third in the Pacific. But again, there's only one team in the Pacific Division that has an overall winning record. That's a really fucking awful stat to be a part of. Unless, right now, unless you're the Anaheim Ducks, because they're the only team in that division who has less losses than wins. So, you know.
Agreed.
Maul, what do you think?
I'm going to say the Leafs, and I mean, that's going to be no surprise. And I think it's because they're way too arrogant and they're full of themselves. They literally feel like their shit doesn't stink and that they don't need to do a lot. They traded away decent players, you know, when personally, I feel like there are other players that should have been traded, but they can't be. And I think they're not looking at the whole picture of what do we need to do? What is our problem now? Right?
Yeah.
And they're and they didn't pay attention to that, and they didn't do anything, in my opinion, or what I can see in the prediction or the future, that is going to solve that problem. Picking up new players, I don't feel is going to help them. Like, the only thing that's going to help the Leafs right now is if for some reason they win the draft lottery and can go first.
Right. Well, and I mean, again, you'd be getting a generational talent in Gavin McKenna, but I feel like a lot of the problem with Toronto this year, the asking price was too high for a lot of players.
Yeah,
they were on the market, but they weren't willing to part with them unless you were getting a fucking steal. And while I understand, sometimes you have to understand where you are positionally. Yeah, and that's okay. But 100%. I was also disappointed with Toronto. They didn't really do as much as I thought. And granted, yes, losing Lawton and losing McMahon, those are two good players that are both going to go do really good things elsewhere. But it's like, do you really think that was enough? How many teams were in on the Matthew Nyes deal? Like 7?
Right. Yeah.
How many of them got Matthew Nyes? None, because they were asking way too much money for him.
Yeah.
They wanted too much, and that's okay. But I don't disagree. Here are two teams that I'm going to throw out here. First one, you know who we didn't see make any moves is Montreal. Montreal is in a playoff position. Obviously, they're battling for that third spot in the Atlantic. Why not try to help that team a little bit more? You know,
they did try, but the Leafs spit in their face.
Pretty much. But
they tried to get Nyes, but the Leafs were like,
the asking price was too high.
Yep. Yeah. And now Montreal's beating their ass right now on the ice.
Also,
as a retaliation.
Explain to me why Vincent Trocheck is still a fucking Ranger.
Yeah.
Why the fuck? Again, the Rangers, you're terrible. why the fuck is your asking price so high for someone like him? Obviously, no disrespect, Vinny Trocheck's a stud, but like,
Well,
again,
given
unrealistic settings.
given the whole statement that they put out, again, the Rangers love an Instagram statement, apparently. But they put a whole statement about it, how like the fans need to be on board, they've got to bring a whole new vision, and then they just sat on their fucking asses.
They
And
didn't
it's
do
like
anything.
either you got to put up or shut up. You know what I mean?
You
You're
traded
doing
like
nothing.
one player. You traded one player. Like, and it's one situation where, oh, I'm sorry, they traded a couple players, because no disrespect, Artemi Panarin obviously was their best player. There is no
Yes.
question on that. Obviously,
But we
they
already
got
talked
that.
about the Breadman, so
Yeah, they
like that's
got
old
that
news at this point.
trade, and they also, I just mentioned his name. Why am I blanking on it? Sam Carrick. Again, Sam Carrick, former Duck. We drafted him. I love Sammy. Great guy. But you mean to tell me Vinny Trocheck, who I'm pretty sure is a UFA at the end of the year, Vinny ain't re-signing with you, and guess what you're getting for him? Nothing.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You didn't do fuck all. You were a disappointment, like you've been a disappointment for the last fucking 5
Tell 'em.
years.
Tell
I
'em.
just, it doesn't make any sense.
Drop that mic, sister.
The big question, okay, before we wrap this up, because I know we've spent a lot of time on this, but obviously it's a deadline. We all expected this was going to be the big thing. We saw, obviously, Colton Parayko was the big topic, right? He had the no trade clause, the trade was put in place to send him to Buffalo. He decided to not waive his clause. There are a lot of players in the NHL right now that are on a lot of these teams that have no movement clauses in their contracts. Do we think we're at a point now where teams are giving the no trade clause away to too many guys? Do we feel like it should be reserved for like your top players, or do you feel that it's totally okay with you that these players have these options?
I think it's totally okay. I think that we're not seeing it used in the appropriate manner. There is a time and a place for it. First of all, it can allow you to get like generational talents, and they're locked in for you for years, and it brings down your cap space. I would be willing, and a lot of people are willing, to accept a no trade clause in lieu of an extra $1 million on their contract, annually. So I think that what we're seeing is that the people who have it maybe are people who it shouldn't have been given to. And so they need to relook at who they're giving that out to. And I think also that there's a preciousness, I think, that's happening right now of people not wanting to give it up. Like when we think of some of the players that could have been traded that we heard buzz about, they didn't get traded because it's like, well, we're just too committed to them. We think they're going to be too good to us, or we want too much money in return for them.
Or they have no
the
movement
Nyes
clauses.
trade.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think Nyes had a no movement, but they just wanted too much for him. And so that is like, you can't be so precious as to say that you want the entire world when that's just not the reality. If you need to offload a player, you need to offload a player.
Right.
And so I think that it's a combo of the two for me.
Well,
I agree. I think that, it definitely needs to be reevaluated. I think that it is being used in an inappropriate way where it's not being utilized in the way it should. Is there a limit right now to how many no trade clauses a team can use?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't believe that exists.
So
I think you could give every player in your team the no trade clause if they wanted.
So maybe that's a good first step, is be like, hey, kind of look at it like when they do expansion drafts. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you can protect 3 or 4 players on your team.
Okay.
And then but then here's the thing, though. With that, that's like a covenant thing that you would pursue as a player. Like, hey, I get a no trade clause, which means I know I can be here. I know I'm kind of guaranteed to have time here, and kind of make that like more of a reward and less of no, I'm going to just,
Okay.
I think that it just needs to be utilized better. And I think that, so there's a few people who have no trade clauses that have like very lengthy contracts, right? So they're locked in for years and years. I think any given no trade clause shouldn't be longer than a 3-year span. You shouldn't be locked in with a player for that long. But I do
Right.
think that these players deserve the protections of a no trade clause, especially when we think about what all their families have to go through for them to play this professional support. And of course, like some of them have the money and whatever, so they can hire nannies and they can live in great houses and they have all
Yeah.
the resources they need. But at the same time, it is, no matter what, really difficult anytime you uproot an entire family's lives and move them from, let's say, Washington, D.C. to Anaheim, California.
Well,
That's
so
quite a
and a
massive
perfect
move.
example there, or Braden Shen had talked about
Hmm.
obviously making the move from St. Louis to Long Island. He's got to
Yeah.
uproot his family. He's got to put his kids into new schools. Like
And
it's a big.
there's a
That's something
deciding
you have to
factor
think about.
there. Like
That's part of the
we're
reason
still,
Colton
what,
Parayko
3
said
months?
no.
Yeah, we're still 3 months from the end of the school year. So
Yeah,
realistically, is any family going to be like, especially in the instance of John Carlson, he was in Washington for 17 years. His kids are relatively young still. I think they're like 8 and 11 or something like that. You're not going to have those kids pack up their whole life over the course of a weekend and move out and start in a new school mid-season. They're going to finish out until June.
Absolutely, as
And
they
so then
should.
you have this instance where he's now in a new city. I mean, not new because he's been there. He's played there for the last 17 seasons, at least, once or twice a year. But he's having to get adjusted while leaving his wife alone to raise their kids. And so I think that
yeah,
it is fair to have a no trade clause. I just think that they our clubs need to be smarter about how they're using it and who they're using it for.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we need to put a limit on it because it is something that is for, like, if we talk about an employee benefit, so to speak, that's an employee
right,
benefit that I think is really vital to the contract negotiation process. And so I think you want to keep it around and you don't want to limit it
right.
too much because then it becomes less powerful of a negotiation tool. But I just think that, again, there's some people that have it that you're like,
Why?
and why do you
Really,
have one?
Right.
yeah. I listen. I agree
Okay.
with both of you. Again. I'm on board for these players having this ability. Like you if this is an option that is given to you by the collective bargaining agreement that this exists
Yep.
Hmm.
and your team is offering this to you, you shouldn't be shamed because you decided you didn't want to.
To
Like
utilize it, yeah.
again, the Colton Parayko thing is the reason I bring that up is because again, his wife's like 8 months pregnant. They're about
Yeah.
to have a baby, and you want to uproot everything from St. Louis and go to Buffalo. Granted, Buffalo, New York's a really nice city, but still, like
But
you're
when you're
about to
talking about
start a
8 months
family.
pregnant, you
Yeah, you're
have
not going
you
to
have a
move your
whole
poor
birth plan
wife.
laid out. You have an OBGYN that you trust. She's not
Right.
gonna move. She's gonna stay in that city. And then you're forcing your
Jacob
wife to give
Truba.
birth alone?
Jacob Truba is
No.
another one that we talked about last season who
Yeah.
denied a trade from New York.
Hmm.
Obviously, he ended up in Anaheim and has moved, but his wife is a nurse and she's a resident doctor,
She was
I
at the
believe.
time a resident.
Yeah, a
Yeah. And
resident.
can't
Yeah,
just change her residencies like
which
super
her
easy.
and it worked out that she ended up moving to Anaheim with him and stuff. But
Yeah.
he denied a trade because he was like, I got to put my family first, and I respect that.
Respect. Yeah.
Obviously, I love having Truba on the Ducks now, but like for the sake of his family, for him to make that decision, I'm on board for that. So
Hmm.
I agree with you guys. I'm fine with that. Um, and I don't feel like we should be having analysts or people on Twitter shaming people for saying no.
Correct.
These are people, just like they're athletes. They're human
Yeah.
beings that have families and lives and that sort of thing.
Hmm.
Um, what a great segment. Obviously,
Yeah.
that didn't. I thought it would take us longer, but listen, the deadline's a huge thing, and especially with where we're at now in the season, it's important. Other big important news that came through the pipeline mall that hit our desks. What today? We saw
Yeah.
it.
Hmm.
So it was released yesterday, but we saw it today. This is news coming out of the ECHL, where they announced a voluntary suspension of the Iowa membership for the 2026-2027 season. They announced on March 9th that the league's board of governors has approved the request for the Iowa Heartlanders membership for a voluntary suspension for next season. During the suspension period, the organization will evaluate strategic alternatives aimed at ensuring a sustainable long-term future for professional hockey in the corridor, including potential investment or ownership partnerships that support the continued success of the membership. The ECHL will continue to work with the Heartlander ownership group during the suspension period as the organization evaluates its future. The league remains committed to the continued growth and stability of its members, teams, and the markets. Michael Devlin, who is the Heartland's owner, said that this was an incredibly difficult decision that followed months of careful evaluation. Despite significant efforts to stabilize and strengthen the organization, we have concluded that stepping back for a season is the most responsible course while we review long-term solution. As stewards of the teams, we believe that this step gives the organization the best opportunity to return on a stronger and more suitable footing. We will work through every potential path that may have allowed us to continue uninterrupted. Ultimately, we believe that this pause provides the organization the best opportunity to position the membership for long-term success. The Iowa organization expresses deep gratitude to the fans, partners, players, staff, and the city of Coralville who have supported the Heartlanders since the team's foundation. So what are you guys' thoughts on that?
It's sad. And I mean, you think this team was founded in 2021. They didn't play their first games until the 21-22 season. It's sad anytime a team has to suspend operations due to financial troubles. And I
Yeah.
mean, we talk about how great play is in the ECHL. I mean,
Yeah.
how often do you
Right.
go see Mariners games? You know,
That's
like
all we have in Maine. We lost our ACHL team, who now doesn't exist, and we have ECHL. So ECHL is near and dear to my heart because that allows me to not have to break my arms and legs to afford going to watch professional hockey.
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, the
And
ECHL did also state that all 30 members of the team will play next season, so they're going to spread them out,
yeah,
give them the
they'll
opportunity to continue to play while things are being figured out with the Heartlanders, which I think is an awesome thing to do.
so
I think that's
what they're going to
important.
do is what's called a dispersal draft. It happens when anytime a team folds. We've
Yeah.
seen this in a lot of sports. Major League Soccer, most recently, they do what's called a dispersal draft. They take every player that's contracted from that team. They give, I think, 3 rounds for every team in the league. Give them a chance to pick players, pull players. And again, obviously, with the Iowa Heartlanders being a Minnesota Wild organization, that is also based on whether or not Minnesota wants to get sign over their rights to another team. They can move them somewhere else on loan. There's a lot of options, but yes, they will in fact be allowed to play still. Um,
Mhm.
which I like that they do that. You know, you don't want to fuck these guys over.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is an opportunity for them to continue playing professional hockey and also chase the coveted getting an an AHL contract or even an NHL contract from this. You know what I mean? Like, these are people who missed out on the draft, who didn't quite make the cut, but somehow were still able to land in a professional hockey role where they can make a living off of this. And, this is like a second or third opportunity for some of these players. So to continue to allow them to play, I think is important.
No.
Some of the information that came out recently was that they didn't hit their financial goals. We all knew that it was financially motivated. There's no other reason to suspend the team. They routinely only have about 1,500 attendees at any of their games. The average in the ECHL for game attendance is like 4,300. So they are a quarter of what most teams are bringing in. So they are an affiliate of the Minnesota Wild. And I think that what I would love to see is I would love to see the Wild organization step up and help them design a
Absolutely.
program that's better run, that brings in more interest. They play at Extreme, which is not spelled like extreme in the way of like intense, but like X and then stream is in a body of water, which I think is just weird. And I don't know why that's a dumb name for an arena. And maybe that's part of their problem and they should redo it. But that's where they play. And so maybe it is a matter of, they got to figure out someplace better to host this team because it may not be a destination that people are like, oh, I really want to drive, 45
Right.
minutes in rush hour traffic to go see a team where there is no investment from the larger community. You know what I mean? There's nothing fancy about it. And so maybe I hope that the Minnesota Wild step up there for them,
Well, and
and
let's not
sort of give them
forget,
a leg up.
this is not the only team that Minnesota has that's located in Iowa. Because
Yeah, the
their
Iowa
AHL
Wild.
team is the Iowa Wild, who play in Des
Yes.
Moines. So, like,
Yeah. So if you have
for
your picks, your better players are playing in the AHL than the ECHL. That's not to say that the ECHL doesn't have incredible players as well, but the players that are more likely to get called up to the NHL or have played a game or two and then are get sent back down
yeah,
are with the Iowa Wild. And
For
so
sure.
if I have to choose between the two for a game night, I can tell you which one I'm likely going to be choosing.
Right.
because you've got a better chance of seeing either current NHL players who are on a
Hmm.
rehab assignment or the
Yep.
players that next season you could see up in Minnesota. Yeah, and this is
Absolutely.
no shade to the ECHL. Those are the players of
Yeah.
the future. But
Yep.
like at
Right.
the same time, you're going to tell me that they're going to play in Podunk, Coralville, Iowa,
Coralville.
or
Yeah.
I can go to the Casey Center in Des Moines and go see
Right.
the Iowa Wild, which is again the next step up. And the Iowa Wild, granted, also haven't exactly had the best of seasons. Like they've only made the playoffs once in their entire history, but you're still being able to see the future stars of tomorrow instead of future stars of 5 years from now, or
I just
guys
Googled
who
it,
can't hack it
and
anymore.
it's about 108 miles between Des Moines and Coralville.
Yeah,
So depending on the time of day, you're looking at like an hour and a half of
Right.
travel between the two places. So again, if you live smack dab in the middle, 45 minutes one way to go to Coralville versus 45 minutes to go to Des Moines, I know which one you're going to.
right.
Unfortunately, I think some of this is based on where they have placed the team. And as much as it would suck for Coralville to lose like professional hockey in the area, I think that in the state, in the interest of keeping a second professional hockey team in Iowa, you might want to move facilities.
Right. And I do have stats on that. That kind of leads into the next segment.
And it's too bad because they have a dope logo. They have really cool color scheme.
Hmm.
We love a good hockey logo. And it's just what is that it's 8-point
It's a,
deer, 8-point
yeah.
buck. Like
The angry deer. Trophy
I'd
buck.
I'd be angry too if I played in front of 1,500 people as a
Coralville.
pro
Yeah.
team.
Right.
Right.
Who are they? The Coyotes?
Sorry.
Yeah, I would say you have the floor, Maul, if you want to lead us into offside opinions.
So we're going to kind of follow the trend of the ECHL into the offside opinions and talk about, do you guys feel that the population and how close it is to Des Moines affect the attendance to the games? Now, first, I have some numbers I'm going to throw out there before we get into it, okay? The population of Coralville, Iowa is 22,000 people. The population of the city right next to it, which is Iowa City, is 76,000 people.
Hmm.
Now, the Iowa Heartlanders have the third lowest population out of all 31 ECHL teams. Not by a lot, but I mean, below them is the Adirondack Thunder, which has a population of 14,000 people in Glen Falls, New York. And this one shocked the hell out of me. The Tahoe Night Monsters, which are in State Line, Nevada, with a population of 1,000 people. I have no idea why they have an ECHL team with a population of 1,000 people. I have no idea how they got that.
But they do well in attendance because Nevada
Right.
is really
Because there's
big
nothing else
on
around.
Right.
not only that,
Now,
all three teams in the Golden Knight system are all in Nevada.
Yeah.
So
other things I want to talk about that caught my attention while doing some research for this. Utah lost their ECHL team. As
Uh-huh.
of next season, they are moving to New Jersey and are being rebranded as the Trenton Ironhawks.
Which, why the
Lame.
fuck would you move a team to Trenton, New Jersey? Do you
Yeah, what the
guys
fuck?
know anything about Trenton, New Jersey?
But here's the
They
thing,
wanna
though.
get
We
shanked.
called it when the Utah Mammoths moved to Utah that this was going to push out their ECHL team.
Mhm.
We called it. Okay. Also, you have next year the New Mexico Goatheads are starting in Rio Rancho, New Mexico.
Let's
Which
go.
is honestly, the name is
Which is
growing
dope
on
as
me.
fuck.
The
You
logo is
had
growing
the-
on me. It's kind of fire.
right. This past
I told
season,
you
you
what.
had the Greensboro Gargoyles start as a new ECHL team
Owned by
and
Fizz.
Shout out
announced for the
to the Gargoyles.
right, and announced for the 2027-2028 season, there's an expansion team going to Augusta, Georgia.
That's
Okay.
in preparation of us expanding the NHL back to Atlanta for the 18th time.
So those are 4 things I want to talk about, right? Or have included in the total population of like this question,
The conversation.
right?
Yeah.
Is moves are being made. There hasn't been any announcements yet on the team that's going to Georgia. Do you feel that part of this temporary setback due to population, low attendance, and stuff like that, do you think that there's a chance this team could be the team that relocates to Georgia?
I don't know. Because knowing Minnesota and their organization, they like to keep their organization, like the state as a
Mhm.
whole, their teams like to keep their organizations rather close. I mean, if you think you go outside, just off the top of my head, the Minnesota Timberwolves, the NBA team, their G League team is also in Iowa. I don't remember their exact name, but I know they're also in Des Moines. And I believe the
But-
Minnesota Twins have a minor league team in that area, but they like to keep their stuff close.
Well, but the
as
Go
far-
Heads aren't affiliated yet, so the Go Heads could be the Wild's new ECHL team. I don't think they're affiliated yet.
No,
When
and
we
as far as
talked
I'm
about
aware,
them, they
they're
weren't.
not.
So they could essentially be the new feeder team for the Iowa Wild.
I
Well,
think
so
this goes deeper though than just that.
yeah, I think that there's a few issues. For one, I don't know if the population of Coralville has much to do with it, although like my own town is like 3 times the size of that. So like that feels tiny, but then you compare it to like 1,000 people and they get a team.
As someone who
So
lives in a town of 1,000 people, and that's not even a joke, I do live
But
in a
they
town of
could,
1,000 people.
but they
That
could
would be like
literally
putting an
move the
ECHL team here.
But they could literally move the Heartlanders to Iowa City right next door
Or
Well,
to Des
so-
Moines.
quadruple the population
But
of
hear me
the people
out.
who have the access to get there with city transit, which cuts down travel time and stuff like that.
Hear me out. We currently have no teams in Nebraska. Why the fuck aren't they moving the Coralville team to Lincoln, Nebraska, where
Or
you are?
Omaha.
There is a drought, or Omaha, where there is
Yeah.
a drought of hockey, of professional teams. You're more likely to get people to buy in because it's the only thing in their area. Your Nebraska people
True.
have to choose their teams out of the Midwest, right? Like maybe
Yeah.
they're close enough to Colorado. Maybe you get some Avalanche fans if they're on the western half of the state, but they're also close enough to Minnesota, or at least to Iowa, that they're going to get those teams as well. So if we are talking a move, which I think is in their best interest, I don't think, especially with the size of Iowa as a whole,
Yeah.
you don't need to have a team in Des Moines and then like literally almost anywhere else in the state. So I think you need to move them outside of that. That way you are capturing the population in a different state, and it allows you to grow hockey in more areas. Because
sure.
I'm sure Nebraska absolutely has a youth hockey program.
Oh yeah.
And the only way that they can go to games is to travel outside of the state, which is inaccessible for a large number of people
Yeah,
to be able to do with
absolutely.
any sort of frequency. So if we put an ECHL team in a place like Nebraska, maybe it's a total loss. Maybe after a year or two, it flops just as hard as they did there in Coralville, Iowa, but you fucking tried. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I think that that is something that the ECHL and the NHL as well need to look at, because if you want to grow the sport, the only way to do that is to go where you can get new viewership. And
Right.
that is in
Well,
markets where you don't currently capture that.
And
Let-
part of their rule is they have to have the teams within 100 miles of each other minimum.
Yes.
And I think going outside of that too far, like last year we lost the Newfoundland Growlers. they completely dissolved as a team, but they're also 6 hours away in a different country from any ECHL team, you know?
It's also funny that you mention the Newfoundland Growlers, because I just did a little digging myself, because you know me, I'm a fucking nerd.
True.
Nerd.
Newfoundland Growlers majority owner Dean McDonald. Okay, obviously we've heard from him. Do you want to know what else he is a minority owner in?
The Iowa Heartlanders?
Correct. In fact, he and his group came to an agreement with the city of Coralville to get a team into the ECHL, thus being the Iowa Heartlanders. In fact, he could not be majority owner while also being majority owner of the Newfoundland Growlers. That is a conflict of interest, which we saw in the National Lacrosse League for a few years.
Mhm.
Shout out to you, Terry Pagula, for being a fucking scumbag regardless.
Yeah. Terry.
I can never not shove some Terry
You'll always hate
Pagula
the
hatred.
Pagulas.
Fuck
Yeah.
that guy. Respect to his wife, who is a sweetheart, but fuck Terry Pagula. But obviously having to sell the team, selling majority ownership, yeah, this team is tied to Dean McDonald, who obviously is the majority or was the majority owner of the Newfoundland Growlers. So are we surprised now?
No. But
obviously it's not Michael Devlin's fault. He is obviously, since 2023, has been the majority owner of the team and is as stake in control. But I don't know if I don't know if moving the team outside of the state is going to be beneficial. I think, like Maul, you were saying, moving them to Iowa City or moving them to fucking Des Moines, where, I don't know, your other franchise is located in the state, that might help both. Because if you have to travel far out to see hockey,
no,
because I mean, the Chicago Blackhawks and the Chicago Wolves play in the same arena. Funny enough, did you know that they're not even affiliated with each other? The Chicago Wolves are the AHL team of the Carolina Hurricanes, but share an arena with the NHL's Chicago Blackhawks. Another useless fact that makes no fucking sense.
Yeah.
But that may work because of ticket prices, though. You know what I mean?
It could.
Like, you have the Blackhawks that are diehard fans, but then you can go watch professional hockey at the same arena for, like, a quarter of the price, you know?
Right.
Because, like, if I was looking at it between an ECHL and an AHL team, if they're in the same area, unless I was, like, a diehard fan, I want to go see hockey. So whatever's the cheaper of the two options.
Well, and it's going to be, I think if you put it in the same city, it's going to come down to what works best with my schedule, right?
Right.
Like there are some times where it's like, I'm going to choose to go to this over that because it's on a Thursday and I don't have anything else to do on Thursdays. Whereas the game I really want to see is on Wednesday, but I can't move, you know, my kid's soccer practice to go do that. So
with the venue schedule too, if they have concerts and stuff during the winters and other stuff as well.
Well, and they're not the only minor league team that news is swirling about. I don't know if you guys have heard about it. I probably have because it's in my own state. But rumors are that the Bridgeport Islanders are moving to Hamilton, Ontario. They are obviously the New York Islanders AHL team. That's literally
Ontario.
Yeah, they're moving. It's rumors. There's considering nothing is official, but there are heavy rumors that they might be leaving. And again, if you've ever been to Bridgeport, Connecticut, it might be one of the scariest cities on the planet. I've never been to a CVS that had an armed guard, and I've been to a lot of cities in the United States.
Yeah.
That was crazy. But like, I think it's a recurring thing that we're seeing from teams, minor league teams around the league. I think it's less. I think it's maybe more to do with just lack of like attendance, because everything's fucking expensive now, and no one can afford tickets to go to games, you know.
I think it's not just that though. Like the Hershey Bears are never going to move out of Hershey, Pennsylvania. Not going to happen.
But that's such a storied franchise.
But that's what I mean. And that's because they have spent all of their time and efforts building up the community. One of the reasons that has ensured ticket sales for the Hershey Bears for their fucking lifetime is the teddy bear toss, because they've got such community support for that event that people want to go to it. It sells out like instantly the second they put up tickets. It is so, so quick. And so I think that also when we're looking at this, we have to look at A, how are the NHL teams working together with these groups? The Washington Capitals work and promote the Hershey Bears heavily, very
Mhm.
heavily. And that adds to their sense of prestige, right? They're an AHL team, but the Hershey, Pennsylvania, like people and people in that area and people in Maryland, where it's a much shorter drive for them, treat them as if they are like the NHL's little brother, right? And so
Right.
because of that partnership between those two major teams, we're seeing more community support. I have never heard of the Iowa Heartlanders.
Right.
And they've
I
only been around since 2021. So like you
and
think
I've
about,
barely
yes, they're a very
heard
new
of the
franchise.
Bridgeport Islanders. Granted, I'm not from that area, but I still, even with all the promotional materials I see coming out of the Northeast with any of the NHL teams, I don't see them talk about the Islanders. I don't
To be
see.
fair, they also changed their name recently. They used to be the Bridgeport Sound Tigers, which I know a lot of people who like AHL that have heard that name before,
Yeah,
but not the Islanders. Which, by the way, shout out to the Bridgeport Islanders for
it's a
using
sick
the
logo.
fisherman logo
Yeah.
the Islanders used to use. But yeah, no, I see. I 100% get what you're saying.
So I think that if we want to talk about like actually rebuilding these teams and making sure that they're sustainable, we need to see better partnerships coming from the NHL, because you have to have community buy-in, and the biggest community that exists is the NHL community, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and like I know in Maine with the Maine Mariners, I mean they're relatively. I mean I don't want to say newer team anymore because we just started our seventh season or we're in our seventh season, but we're affiliated with the Boston Bruins and the Providence Bruins, and they have Bruins themed colored nights where the Mariners, who are primarily green and blue, will wear Boston Bruin colors. They'll have members of the Bruins come to Maine to do events and sign-ins and stuff like that. Like the Bruins heavily support the Mariners. You know what I mean? And I think that, like you were saying, that that's important. Where they, the Heartlanders may not be getting that from the Minnesota Wild.
Hmm.
Right. But also, like you said, yes, it's the seventh season for the Maine Mariners, but let's not forget that that organization in itself has existed since 1989.
Right.
Obviously, they were in Alaska before they moved in 2017, was their last season. 2018, they started as the Maine Mariners, but the Maine Mariners name carries weight in Maine.
Which is why they picked it, because the
Yeah.
alternative was the Wild Blueberries, which would have been dumb.
Yeah, it would have
I
been pretty
literally was
stupid.
like, you are gonna make us a laughing stock.
Yeah.
But
But the name
the
carries
conspiracy,
weight because of
Yeah,
history.
right?
So,
right.
But here's the thing, though: the conspiracy theorist in me is saying that the reason the Board of Governors was so okay with this, instead of letting them fizzle out, essentially like they did with the Newfoundland Growlers, because they didn't give them an option for this, they're just saying you're done, is right now there are 31 ECHL teams going into next season.
Well, 30, yeah, with
there'll be
them
30
taking a
going into
step
next
out.
So
season.
now with
Yeah,
them going off the roster, you have 30, which means you now have an even schedule,
yeah. And
Mhm.
so they're waiting for another expansion team to pop up so they can go back to having an even schedule.
which is going to
Yep.
be the following year when you'll come back with 32 teams because
Yeah.
they'll come out of it. So I'm kind of weighing that as like, okay, maybe they're using this like strategically, like, hey, we'll take a year off, but then we'll come back and announce a rebrand with the
Hmm.
new team, and then we'll have even teams and better play schedule.
Yeah.
Fun fact, Maul. Did you know that
I
the
love it.
original Maine Mariners still exist?
Really? Where?
Huh.
They, in 1977, for those that don't know, the AHL, or what I believe they were originally, were a WHA team, but the AHL's Maine Mariners lasted until 1987, and they've moved around a lot until 2022, where they exist as the Calgary Wranglers.
Huh.
So
See,
the
I
original
love
Maine Mariners still exist.
I love that because when Maine had an AHL team, the Portland Pirates, which is who I grew up watching, and that's what helped me get heavily into hockey. When they left to go to Massachusetts, yeah, they don't exist anymore. They changed their name and now they don't exist. And good for them.
They went under in 2016.
Yep. Which
They were at one point
sucks
owned by the Ducks. Fun fact.
Yep. Obviously, that sucks for them as a franchise. I remember when the Portland Pirates were the affiliate team of the Washington Capitals. Fun fact: my uncle upstairs has a Portland Pirate jersey with the Washington Cap logo on it.
That's cool.
So I
That
thought
was
that was
probably
kind
before
of
we switched over to the Stingrays.
Yeah, so
South Carolina.
they owned them from 93 to 2005, in which the Ducks bought them for 3 seasons. And then 2008 to 2011, they became the Buffalo Sabres, which is why they held the black, red, and silver, because they used to have that in the early 2000s. And then they became the Arizona Coyotes, and then their final season of existence was the Florida Panthers. But I did know that they were owned by the Ducks for a couple seasons, because the Ducks also owned a team in Iowa at one point called the Iowa Chops. They were an affiliate, which
Such a
they
cool
now,
name.
I believe, are they're a Stars organization. I can't remember where they're at now.
So the cool thing
but
that
yeah.
the Mariners did, like kind of a side note, the cool thing that the Mariners started doing this year, and they've done it twice now, is since it's been so long since the Pirates have dissolved as an organization, the Mariners have kind of taken back that name and they do Portland Pirate Night, where
That's
they come
cool.
out in Portland Pirate colors with their logo.
That's dope.
That's
And
cool.
fans go nuts because
I bet.
that was a team that we were sad as a state to lose.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, but let us know in the comments down below what you guys think of this news coming out of the ECHL. I know we don't talk about them often, but when big stuff like this happens, they make a guest appearance on the show because at the end of the day, hockey is hockey.
Mm-hmm.
And if you haven't liked and subscribed already, we've had 2 fantastic conversations tonight on this, just this one episode. Speaking of another fantastic conversation that we'll have to keep nice, short, and sweet, but there's some naughty boys, definitely.
Oh,
There are.
there.
Yeah, I made a joke earlier that we have every type of suspension possible between this news with the Heartlanders and then all of the NHL fines and suspensions that happened this week. We will start with the fines. On February 5th, Michael McCarron of the Nashville Predators was fined $2,343.75 for slashing against Trevor Van Riemsdyk. On February 5th as well, Curtis Douglas of the Tampa Bay Lightning was fined $2,018.23 for serving as the aggressor in an altercation with Niko Mikkola. On March... Oh, wait, why did I read February? That was so long ago. I was convinced that was like this month. That's me. Sorry, guys. Brief recap. On March 7th, Bo Horvat of the New York Islanders was fined $2,500 for unsportsmanlike conduct against William Eklund, which I believe I sent that to the group. And yeah, buddy, that was unsportsmanlike conduct.
Correct.
You earned it. On March 7th as well, Tyler Clevin of the Ottawa Senators was fined $4,166.66 for cross-checking Jared McCann. Again,
it was pretty obvious that was... Yeah. No, he should have been.
It was true. On March 8th, Brandon Hagel of the Tampa Bay Lightning was fined $5,000, which I believe is the max allowable under the CBA, for serving as an aggressor in an altercation with Rasmus Dahlin. I sent that video around. Buddy, you earned it.
Also,
that was deserving
Rasmus
of the full
Dahlin is having a fucking week.
Dude, someone was like, what is he saying to people that just gets them so mad? He must be the king of, like, chirps, because he has just pissed off so many people lately.
He's had a week, dude.
Yeah. So those were our fines. For our suspensions, I promise I won't go backward in time. We are going to start with just the one on March 5th, which is the only one we have, which is a surprising name to see on the list. Yevgeny Malkin of the Pittsburgh Penguins was suspended for slashing, yet again, Rasmus Dahlin. He was suspended a total of 5 games and will forfeit $158,854.17.
He didn't just slash him, though. He slashed him he used his stick as a weapon and hit Dahlin in the fucking face.
Yes.
Like, You are a veteran. You have played a very long time
He
in the
knows
league,
better.
Malkin. Be
You should
better.
know how to hold
What
your
the fuck?
keep your cool, dude.
Like, yes, everyone knows Gino's got a temper. Gino's always had a temper. That's just the thing he's had. But
Yeah,
no, you need to be better.
that one was
Because
bad.
fuck, dude, that's
that one was pretty
unacceptable in
bad.
any way. Even my dad, who's a diehard Penguins fan, you know what his response was when I told him he got a 5-game suspension? He goes, "Good. You should have known
Good.
better.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Let this be a lesson."
It was egregious. So yeah, Rasmus, tell us what you're saying to these people on ice that gets under their skin so quickly. Just for personal research, I want to know.
Yeah. Do we have any big names that have found themselves on the IR?
We do. I'm only mentioning him because he was literally just traded. But John Carlson is out for Anaheim for the next few days, the next 5 days for a lower body injury. Sorry, bud.
That's
Sorry
right.
about that.
That's okay. It happens. What are you gonna do?
Find it funny. Also, we do have. I don't believe we talked about it last week. Gabriel Landeskog is out until at least March 22nd with a lower body injury. I believe he got hit in the cup.
He took a Did you see the cup? It's dented.
I sent you the picture of the cup.
Yes.
There's a big old dent in it from the hockey puck hitting his cup, and it just reminds you, boys, wear your protection.
Let this be a lesson. Wear your cup.
Wear
you
your
ever want to
cup.
have kids? That's a good way to never have them.
Yep,
Without that
'cause
cup,
he's
you
out.
probably would have sang 5 octaves higher.
100%.
Probably would have bled a lot.
Absolutely. Mikko Rantanen is also out, expected to return the 29th. We have a few others. The biggest news, Sam Reinhart is out only for a couple of days, but Brad Marchand of the Florida Panthers is out until at least March 29th, but some are speculating that it could be even longer than that this might be a season-ending injury for him, depending on how things shake out.
I mean, at this
Big
point,
loss for
they're
them.
not making the playoffs. So, like,
No.
why come back? Just wait until next year to come back. Try it again. This is, again, a laundry list of big name injuries for fucking Florida this season.
I know that we talked about Kevin Fiala's injury from the Olympics, but they have officially confirmed he is done for the season. So we will not see him return
That
again.
was a gruesome leg injury.
We all knew it was going to happen.
I just hope he feels all right.
Yeah, I do too. I think
which, again, this makes that pickup for Panarin even bigger because he's going to have to produce for them.
Yeah.
Sidney Crosby's injury from the Olympics has also been extended. He is out for another week at least as well.
I know he's
so
practicing.
We're seeing a few there. He is practicing.
I do know he's on the ice practicing.
Yeah, he's not looking to return anytime soon.
Which I think is smart. Like, go back when you're ready, and you're not going to put yourself at risk to have a career-ending or season-ending injury.
And the Penguins are playing just fine right now. It's not necessity that they need him right this second. So
yeah,
they're playing all right.
Chris Tanev of the Toronto Maple Leafs is out for the season because of that abdomen injury. I believe he is getting surgery.
Yeah, he already had the surgery, and I think it went well.
Okay.
Yes.
That's great.
Last update I heard.
In a shock to 0.0% of the population, Mark Stone is yet again out on IR. I would not be the least bit surprised if this lands right up into the playoff deadline and then suddenly he's pulled back off that list and eligible for the cup and, all that cap room.
They can't do that anymore. That's a rule. They can't do that anymore.
We'll see. I see Vegas trying it, being like, well, how are we to know?
Yeah, they cannot. Your cap goes from regular season to the playoffs now, so they cannot pull that.
They pulled that. They instituted that rule because of Mark Stone doing this so goddamn
because
always.
of Vegas and because of Tampa,
and Florida,
because of Nikita Kucherov.
That's right, the two of them. That is it. There are a few other people with large injuries, but no names particularly of note other than those.
Relevance.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, I think it is time to switch to everybody's favorite segment, the obscure NHL Player of the Week. So, we have a player by the name of Jerry Meehan, born September 3rd, 1946 in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. This man is 79 years old. He was a left-handed left winger that was drafted 21st overall in the 1963 draft by the Toronto Maple Leafs. Funny enough, this was the first ever draft in the NHL, and he was the last player picked. He played 670 games in the NHL between the Toronto Maple Leafs, Buffalo Sabres, Vancouver Canucks, Atlanta Flames, and the Washington Capitals. He had 180 goals, 243 assists, 111 penalty minutes. He was a good boy. He finished his career in 1979 with 2 games in the WHA's Cincinnati Stingers. He went on to be, at one point, the general manager and the senior vice president of the Buffalo Sabres, which he is not currently anymore. But he is responsible for players like Dale Howardchuk, Pat LaFontaine, Alex McGinley, and Dominic Hasek being drafted to the Buffalo Sabres. And at 79, he's still around. He's still kicking, probably still kicking ass. So shout out to Jerry Meehan for being this week's Obscure NHL Player of the Week. Now, on to our trivia question. True or false? The last time a team swept in the Stanley Cup Finals was 1998.
Do I get a bonus point if I give you more information?
Maul, what's your answer? What's your guess?
True.
All right, D, do you want to tell the class?
I can confirm that is in fact true, because the last time it happened was the Detroit Red Wings sweeping the Washington Capitals in the 1998 Stanley Cup Finals.
Hell yeah.
A little bit of team history there. I think Chris was like, I'm not done seeing you cry yet. Since you did it over 2 players earlier in the week, why not bring up very embarrassing effort for us in 1998?
Let me just remind you for the rest of the podcast where your boy Johnny is going to play.
It's so weird seeing him in orange. It's
He looks
so weird.
so good.
It's weird seeing Dowd in any other color, but Carlson especially, so fucking odd.
He looks good
So
in
odd.
orange. I'm going to say it. Well, this is a bit of a longer episode than we normally do, but we had a lot of great conversations, obviously with the trade deadline, and a lot of big conversations to have around that. But that is unfortunately it for all of us today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, like and subscribe, hit that notification bell. It lets you know anytime we upload anything new. Before we go in the comments, let us know who your biggest winners and losers are in the trade deadline. Let us know the move that you were the most shocked with. Honestly, I think the John Carlson trade was the most shocking to me.
Yes.
I didn't know he was even open for trades. Yeah, I didn't know he was an option. As always, check us out on our socials. You can find all of that in the description below. And until next time, we will see you motherfuckers in the face-off circle.